is my good friend Joel Comm. Joel has been part of the online internet world for over 20 years. He's been experimenting with the internet since 1995. He's written 15 books. The most recent, you can see on the screen and right here, and I believe somebody today is going to walk home with his new book. Joel's been active in the social media world. He's the first person who wrote about Twitter. He's in fact written 3 books about Twitter. But perhaps what he's most famous or infamous for, if you were to go in the App Store on your phone and type in IFART, yes, iFart, he designed that app, and it sold tens of millions, and he's famous for that, among many other things. And we are thrilled to have Joel Comm here in Wichita. Would you stand one more time and give him a hand as he comes to the stage? Joel Comm.
Hey, brother. Hey, don't go yet. Come here a sec. All right, everybody stand up for a second there. We're gonna shoot a quick video that we're gonna make go viral. Phil, stand right here. And I'm gonna say, where we at? And y'all are gonna say, Social Media Day Wichita. Let's try it. Where we at?
Social Media Day Wichita.
Perfect. Here we go. Let's roll tape. Where we at?
Social Media Day Wichita.
It's true. Awesome. We'll share that out. Thank you all so much. Thanks, Phil. Give it up for Damien just because he was on stage. So there is a mystery taking place in this building right now, and about 50% of you, assuming we're about 50% men, will be in on this mystery. And the question that I have is, why is there an office desk chair sitting in the corner in the men's restroom? I don't get it. There's one in the ladies too. Ladies, I get it. Y'all chill in there, you talk and stuff. What are you going to do? I'm like, okay, I'm going to set my laptop up in here. I'm going to do some work. Y'all good. All right, never mind. Thanks for having me, Phil, and glad to be here in Kansas. It's probably been about 15 years since I've been to Wichita, and there's buildings here that weren't here before. And so I guess things perpetually change. Now, I need you all with me today because I'm doing something different. I'm literally speaking without a net. You might say, who's a net? No. I mean, I have no PowerPoint. I don't know how many of you have done public speaking before, but getting up without a PowerPoint to speak to is kind of like going, all right, I'm casting away any of the crutches I have, because I want to talk about something that is super near and dear to my heart. In fact, it is the closest thing to my core that I have ever spoken about, and it is the subject of the new book, The Fun Formula, How Curiosity, Risk-Taking, and Serendipity Can Revolutionize How You Work. In the past, the books I've written have been very strategic, talking about how to make money with Google, how to use Twitter for business, how to do online marketing. But I believe there is so much more to the work that we do than just succeeding in work. In fact, I believe that when you are in tune with yourself and doing what you were made to do in this world, you're having fun, you're succeeding in business, and most importantly, you are living a fulfilled life. Are you with me? Are you with me? I need you with me. That's good. How many of you are sick and tired of hearing about the hustle and the grind? How many of us have fallen prey to believing that the hustle and grind is the way to success? I'll be the first one to raise my hand. Because the messages we are bombarded with by some in the marketing industry, by the world, is that if you want to succeed, you got to be up early, you got to stay late, and while those sucker friends of yours are out on a boat for the weekend, you should be in the office crushing it. Now, the only person I know that should legitimately be doing that is Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'll tell you why. It's because when Gary does it, Gary is living his fun formula. He is doing Gary. And he will be the first ones to tell you, don't be like me. You do you. But what happens? He has his legions of followers, and especially young, impressionable minds are more likely to want to be like him. Well, guess what? Only one person is going to get to own the New York Jets, and that's probably going to be Gary Vaynerchuk. So with mad respect for him, there is a confusion in the marketplace that I think is leading to something very dangerous, and what I want to do today is liberate you. What I want to do is help set your imagination free so your natural curiosity can spur creativity, and that as entrepreneurs and business owners and as employees, you'll discover that if you can tell the difference between your work and your play, you're doing one of them wrong. Let that sink in just a second. If you can tell the difference between your work and your play, you're doing one of them wrong. I have reverse engineered my career, the successes and the failures. There's been some big successes, of which I'm very grateful for, and there's been some massive failures, of which I'm also very grateful for. And then we have the grade in between, those projects that, or just a little bit. And what I discovered when I looked at the massive successes and the massive failures, there was a theme running throughout. For example, back in 1997, I got an email from my webmaster. I built a site back in 1995. Yes, I'm old, okay? Don't hate. And I was into online games, and there was only web-based games at that time, point-and-click stuff. And my webmaster said, go check out this guy's site. And it was one of the first multiplayer Java-based game rooms on the internet in the world, 1997. So you could play chess, checkers, bridge, backgammon against other people in real time. This guy was a grad student at University of California, San Diego. He had about 3 or 4 of his friends beta testing it. I wrote him and I said, this is cool, I've got a website, let's partner up. I'll try to market it, you keep coding. He said, okay. He kept coding, I did some marketing, we called it Classic Games, and one day, just about a year later, we got a knock on our virtual door from a little company known as Yahoo. Remember them? They used to be the top, believe it or not, before they got decimated because of poor decisions. Well, this was not one of their poor decisions because they offered me 7 figures to purchase ClassicGames.com. Who remembers Yahoo Games? If you ever sat down at a Yahoo game table and you select a little avatar, there was one of them that was a guy with a red cap, glasses, and a goatee. That was me. All told, I spent less than an hour's worth of effort to build a month's worth of effort, month's worth of hours. Not sure what I said the first time, scratch that. A month's worth of hours in effort to do that deal. That idea has replicated itself again and again in my career. The app that Phil was talking about, it didn't sell 10 million, but I thank you for the fake news. That was awesome. It has had about 3 million downloads. I had to hashtag that. We have had about 3 million downloads, and the idea for the iFart app, it's okay, ladies, you can laugh, it's funny, came from a meeting with my team sitting in our room, in the boardroom, whiteboarding ideas, and when somebody said we should make a digital flatulence machine, everybody started laughing. You too, I see. You can't keep from smiling. And so I said, how long would it take to develop this? 3 weeks. Graphics, the sounds, which we did not make in-house, and the programming, although there was a sign on the door in the men's restroom on the stall that said research and development, which I thought was pretty funny. 3 weeks to develop this app, 1 press release shot to the top of the charts because of some clever marketing, and it's an app that put a very high 6 figures into my pocket. Very little effort. Now this theme continues again and again throughout my career, and I'm going to share another example in a bit, but my failures, I discovered, have taken way more effort. Whenever I have done the hustle and grind, I've discovered A, I'm not having fun, and B, I'm working super long hours. Now, if this had happened one time, doesn't count. 2 times could be a fluke. I've had what I would count as 7 to 8 grand slams in my career, and probably 3 times as many failures, lest anybody think this is not about boasting. This is saying, these have been the home runs, this stack of failures over here, and what I've discovered is less effort and more focus on what's important to me, what piques my curiosity, what allows me to be creative. That is where I have found the greatest success. So anybody that's telling you that you have to work long hours and stay late and work weekends, that might be true for a short season in your life, brief periods of time where, you gotta do the work. You gotta buckle down. But we were told that hard work is a virtue. Who agrees with that? Hard work's a virtue. I believe it is. I think working hard is virtuous. You do what you have to do to be responsible, to take care of yourself, your family, the needs of those around you, food in your stomach, shelter over your head, clothing on your back. But some have taken this idea of hard work being a virtue and said, well, if we just 10x that hard work, we're going to have 10 times the virtue. Doesn't work that way. What 10x the hard work, with limited exceptions, does lead to most of the time is burnout. Who can relate to burnout? Yeah, more hands for that than anybody. We all can, because we've been told this is how you get things done. But when you hear people talking about working hard versus working smart, smart is always the best way and will help you to accomplish your goals. So there's 3 parts to the fun formula, and no, it's not mathematical. I can't put a plus sign or a multiplication sign, but there's 3 parts to it. The first part is your own natural curiosity and your creativity. Our culture has not traditionally encouraged us to be individuals. We are taught to conform from the time we are in school. We are put with children, what? Our age. Look at us now. Look at this classroom. We're all over the map in here, right? We got people in their 20s, and I'm in my 50s, and we might have folks here that are older. But in school is the only time we institutionalize and say, you need to be with other people the same age. Oh, and we're going to grade you the same way. Here are the things you should know. Well, when they told me that I needed to learn chemistry, I think chemistry was my first D in school. To this day, I still have no idea how to balance a chemical equation. Some of you, it clicked like that. Never clicked for me. I got a D in it. Why was I taking chemistry? Look back at the classes that you had to take in school, and how many of them do you actually use still today? I took calculus, and it's funny because I did horrible in chemistry, but calculus clicked for some reason. And as I was going through my old crap in my parents' house back in Northbrook, Illinois, I discovered the calculus book. And I opened that thing. It may as well have been Latin. I don't remember any of it. How much do we actually use? So, what is the thing that you are most curious about? Know what that thing is, and don't be afraid to explore that thing at any given time in your life, because that thing could open the doors to opportunity that you didn't see coming. In fact, when I look back at the successes, I never saw any of them coming. Now, this works for me because I don't like to plan too much. All personalities are not the same, though. There's some people in here that you have a day planner, and you know exactly where you're going to be at every given time. You're shaking your head like, no way. My kind of people. Day planners. That doesn't mean that we don't schedule appointments and show up for appointments, but there's something about letting go and flying more by the seat of your pants, kind of like I'm doing right now, that actually allows the moment to happen. And when we open ourselves up to the moment without getting all woo-woo, instead of being focused on that one thing that we think we have to accomplish, there's a world of opportunity out there. How many of you have encountered the metaphor of the closed door, like that one right there? And I want to get through that door, and I'm just going to keep banging on that door till that door comes down, dang it! I think that's ludicrous. I see doors and windows all over the place. And some of them will open a lot easier than that one that's probably locked. In fact, there's so much opportunity out there now more than ever. The internet, social media, has more opportunity for anybody to launch their own creativity and have their own business or work with the team to get the message out than ever before in history. We have never experienced this magical time that we live in right now. So there was a time when our parents or our grandparents, they worked on the farm, and they had to go farm all day, because if you don't farm all day, you're not going to get the produce. Or they worked on machinery, and they worked with their hands. But we live in a different time now. You can get paid to get in your car and drive people around. You can get paid to walk somebody else's dog. It's rover.com, I think. My daughter did it for a time. I'm like, they're paying you to come take the dog out and walk? Yes. I love Instacart, DoorDash. I hardly go to the grocery store anymore because they bring my groceries to me. We are in a time that all we have to do is find a need and determine if we can solve that need. So whatever it is you're doing right now, take some time to evaluate, if I could do anything, what would I do? What am I naturally curious about? I've always been a big music fan, and I'm not really a good musician, unlike Phil Mershon, who's excellent with the brass instruments. I plunk around on the piano, I can keep a beat with the drums, and my fingers hurt when I play guitar. So if you love music, but you're not a good musician, what do? You become a DJ and play other people's music. I always loved music as a kid, but it took a family member to say to me, hey, have you thought about trying out for the radio station at University of Illinois? No booze. Come on, it's Kansas, Illinois. WPGU, Rock 107 FM, Urbana-Champaign's classic rock, now playing The Police, Don't Stand So Close to Me. Who knew that I would be good at that? I didn't know, but if you're wondering, what is the thing that I would be good at, where I would find my fun, if it's not clear to you, sometimes the people closest to you will know, and they will tell you if you ask them. So be curious, be creative. Those are both two sides of the same coin, number one. Number two is risk-taking. If you are entrepreneurial at all, then you are accustomed to the idea of risk-taking. You could fail. But you know what? Failure is the absolute best teacher. In fact, one of the greatest lessons I learned in 2010 to 12 or 13. I had built a mobile marketing platform. Everybody's familiar with email autoresponder services like Aweber, Constant Contact, and those types of things. We built a mobile marketing auto-response system. Amidst the success of other things, I was distracted, and we thought, let's try this. I think it'll be a great service. It could make a lot of money. It made nothing. And in fact, I couldn't even sell the technology, but I was paying to support it for years, because the moment we pulled the plug on this thing, all of the 6 figures worth of investment in time and energy would go down the drain. And you know, when you're looking at one of your babies and going, I've got to pull the plug on this and put it to rest, that's not something that you want to do with your business. I thought that when I pulled the plug on it, I would experience the crushing weight of defeat. I blew it. The exact opposite happened. The moment I pulled the plug, I felt this burden lifted off my shoulders. And that is when I learned this incredibly important lesson, that I stopped failing the moment I stopped paying for it. What are you still paying for that you need to pull the plug on? Because when I pulled the plug and I stopped failing, it allowed me to move forward into some of these new opportunities. Think about what your hands look like. Everybody clench your fists. Hold on to something really tight. You're holding on to something. Now let it go. Now your hands are open, and when your hands are open, you can receive other opportunities that are out there. You have to be willing to take a risk. You have to be willing to fail. The old analogies to sports are as old as Babe Ruth, the home run king himself, that he stepped up to the plate and every time he swung as hard as he could, which means sometimes he connected and out of the park. But a lot of times, struck out more times than he hit home runs. If you're entrepreneurial, if you're going to put yourself out there, if you're going to be creative, you're going to take risks. And when you fail, it's not failure, it's learning experiences. So don't be hard on yourself. It's easy for us to do that, especially if we grew up in performance-based households, or if we were told by teachers or peers that if you don't succeed at this venture, there's something wrong with you. There's not. You are as normal as could be, because we all fail. So, your curiosity, risk-taking. Number 3, serendipity. Who's ever heard the phrase, trust the process? We have to trust the process. Now, whatever your faith might be, you might have beliefs all over the map, but by believing in yourself first, you've got the first key. The second key is understanding that you are not in control. Control is an illusion. Oh, sure, you could say, well, I controlled that I'm here today. I can control that I took that seat. I can control that I just took a drink of that water. Yes, you have limited control. But think about this. There are 7 billion people in the world, any of which could have some impact on you in some time that you have no control over. There are other drivers on the road. You're one of them to me. I have no control over whether you like this. There are political factors. There are cultural factors. There are, just last night, a horrible tornado touched down in Eureka and hurt people and took out homes. Can't control that at all. Control is, by and large, an illusion. Can't control when you're born. You're not going to control when you leave this planet. But there's freedom in that, in letting go and trusting the process in your life. How many times have you come up with an idea, or somebody you know has an idea, and you might know somebody who does this habitually, and immediately they have to, we're going to do this right now. We're going to do it, and it's going to happen, and it's going to be great, and then it goes nowhere. Maybe it wasn't the right time. It's not that it wasn't a good idea. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe the person that you needed in order to pull that off properly wasn't in your life. Maybe you were doing activities that weren't in your wheelhouse to do. There could be so many reasons, and it could be a sucky idea. That's possible as well. Don't discount that. But it might not have been the right time. And timing, they say, is everything. I don't know if it's everything, but it's certainly a thing. Let me give you a case in point for this. In fact, I didn't have a script. Now, if I had one, I'm really going to go off of it. I'm going to get really vulnerable for a moment. I thought I'd be funnier up here, but I'm going to get really serious. Is that okay? Yeah? I've talked about this publicly a couple times. Once in a TED Talk I did about being human in the digital age, and I shared about some of my trials. And in 2010, I had been married for many years, since 1989, and in large part due to my half of the marriage. My wife left me, and I got 2 kids. They're grown adults now, and it was devastating for me. It was devastating for the whole family. Ended up in divorce a few years later. But during that time, I realized the most important thing I could do would be to back away from work and work on myself. And so for those of you who knew me in 2010, I was about that much heavier, and so I worked on myself physically. I got with a counselor and friends, and I worked on myself emotionally. I got on my knees and learned to understand and know God in a way that was significant to me. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, I became healthier. And a couple of years out of the sabbatical, I decided it was time to come back to work. And I started writing books, and I started speaking, and from all appearances, successful in the world's eyes. I get this book deal from Thomas Nelson Publishers, and we're talking about the fun formula. The third part of the fun formula is trusting the process. So here's the confession I'm going to make. While I was writing this book and telling all of you who I hope will read it to trust the process, I was asking myself this question: is my best work behind me? Is that it? I hadn't had a home run in the sense that I believed was I'm really making an impact and really doing something cool since 2009, after a streak of a bunch of them. And I'm looking at, there's a new age of people. There's the millennials, there's Brian Fanzo, and there's Amy Landino, and there's this younger generation. And is my voice going to be relevant anymore? Will I have anything else to add to the conversation, or am I going to coast on what I did previously? Coasting to me is like that myth of retirement, which I don't get at all. Who really wants to quit producing, move to the beach, and do nothing but get a suntan? That sounds good for a really short period of time. In fact, I think we call it a vacation. Right? Send me to Hawaii for 2-3 weeks. I'm great, but I'm coming back because I think that we all still have value to add, no matter how old we are. Our experiences and our knowledge and our gifts and our talents, they matter. So we're never done. But I was afraid that I was done. Now fast forward to the first draft of the book has been turned in. I'm teaching that people have to trust the process, and I'm asking myself, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I'm challenged by what I'm writing to say, Joel, you need to trust the process. I think any author that's going to say anything worth saying, you're probably going to be challenged to do the very thing that you are encouraging others to do. Fast forward, manuscript is turned in, first draft. I still don't know exactly what I want to do next. Where is my fun? March, April of last year, I start going down the cryptocurrency rabbit hole. Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum. I become fascinated with it, just as a hobby. I'm like, this is cool. This is the future of digital money. I've seen this before. I've seen this when I built my first website in 1995. This, and the way it's going to change the world, smells, feels, looks, and tastes a lot like that. Tastes like chicken. And I was just enamored with it. Well, my good friend Travis Wright, who will be here this afternoon, is a leading marketing technologist, and Travis and I have been discussing all kinds of topics on Messenger for months, especially around the election season. And then we got bored with politics, and I found out that he was fascinated with cryptocurrency as well. And pretty soon our discussions via Messenger shifted completely, and we were having a blast just talking about cryptocurrency. July 16th, 2017, Travis sends me a message with a little winky face that says, when are we going to start the Joel and TW crypto show? The moment he said that, it landed on me like a ton of bricks. It hit me so hard, I said, I'm calling you right now. We are doing this. And the idea wasn't that we were going to have this super mega successful podcast. It was that this sounded like fun. We have to do this. All the blockchain podcasts out there are over people's heads, including our heads, and we don't know what we're talking about, but we could have fun talking about it and talking to other people who don't know what we're talking about. Let's call it the Bad Crypto Podcast. 2 days later, website up, WordPress, Libsyn account for podcasts created, first episode recorded and distributed via iTunes. And what happened after that blew us away. Grand Slam home run. We're coming up on our first birthday, which is July 18th. We're actually holding a party in Denver. Y'all are invited if you want to come celebrate with us. You might not want to after hearing me, but after hearing Travis, you're definitely going to want to come. And we'll be at about 5 million downloads of our shows in just the first year. I trusted the process. I found my fun. It happened while I was doubting that it would happen again for me. Be curious, take risks, trust the process to find your fun. Has this been helpful? Excellent. Thank you.